it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And Uber is going to drive that. Equifax is going to drive that.
No pun intended.
Yep.
You're listening to the Help Me with HIPAA podcast, where HIPAA and humor collide to make learning fun. Your delightful hosts are Donna Grindle and David Sims. Relax. HIPAA help is on the way.
Welcome to the Help Me with HIPAA podcast. My name is David Sims of HIPAA for MSPs, and joining me is Donna Grindle of Card and Compliance. Good afternoon, Donna.
Oh my goodness. It has been a morning, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. It has.
We've had to push into the afternoon area on a Friday.
Yeah. It's for the benefit of the listener that we did.
Yeah, I couldn't breathe, and David's cranky, so hopefully we're going to get through this.
Just had to get something off my chest. Let me just say, I'm not a fan of social media. And the reason why is because I don't like to get drugged into long conversations with people who don't know what they're talking about.
Well, or they just have to have the last word. That's all.
Yeah.
And you like having the last word too.
No, I just like being right. I don't care how many words it takes.
You just want somebody to answer and say, "You're right, David."
That's all I look for, just that. Yeah. That's all I need.
So, note to self. That's why I answer most of our emails. So
I asked one of my texts the other day, I said, does it make you mad that I'm right or that you're wrong? He's like, it makes me mad that you're right. He's like, I can handle being wrong. I hate it when you're right. Anyway, so where are you going to be this coming up, I guess, next year now, right?
We're at the end of the year, so we're right before Christmas, I think, with this episode. So now we're out into February, where I'm doing the Georgia. See, this is that big long one. The Ambulatory Surgery Center, Georgia, South Carolina Ambulatory Surgery Center Association Joint Semi-Annual Conference and Trade Show in February the 16th, and the 2018 JAWS Society Annual Conference in Newport Beach, California. Hopefully everything will be fine there.
Yeah.
And won't all burn down. So that is in April. And there's a couple others. Well, yeah, I haven't gotten all of the official names and dates, so off we go.
Off we go. So more stuff to come.
Yeah. And we need to figure out a date and place to do a new boot camp in 2018.
Oh, yeah, we do. So if anybody's interested in learning more about that, you can go to helpmewithhipaa.com/bootcamp. And,
send us. If you're interested in going to a boot camp, here in Atlanta is obviously the easiest place for us to do one. And we're considering another one there sometime in the first half of 2018. But if we can get enough people and the right deal, if you have boot camp, we'll travel.
This is true. So also, if you want to become a Patreon of the Help Me With HIPAA podcast, because some of you have asked, what can we do to give back? You can go to helpmewithhipaa.com/give and find out more about not only just donating, but getting some cool stuff as well.
Buy us a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
That's it.
And
David
you mentioned
likes expensive stuff.
I know. Well, I'm kind of a coffee snob. I'll admit it.
Yeah.
This time of year, got to have my my peppermint mocha.
Oh, God. All right, then.
So we do have an app. And last week you mentioned that the app has a cool feature to it.
Yes, it does. There's a new feature called it's a new feature for us. It's a feature of the app that we get through our hosting provider, Libsyn. And it lets you go to the episode and you just tap the little gift box, which I think is cute. It's a gift box, and you open it up, and it gives you a PDF that you can, whichever method you want, email it to yourself, whatever. But it's a PDF that's pre-formatted for you. All you have to do is fill in a couple of blanks and use it for your training documentation, your HIPAA training documentation. So
cool.
Get the app. And then we've done PDFs all the way back to episode 100.
Wow.
Yeah. So you can pull those PDFs now, and they don't come out right with the minute it's released, but within that, from Friday to Monday, you're going to see it out there. And you just tap it, and there's your PDF.
Cool.
Boom.
Think I'll use that.
Training documentation. If it's not documented,
it didn't happen.
Boom.
That always reminds me of the time we were doing those videos and you kept trying to get me to finish your sentence and I wouldn't do it.
I know. He's finally catching on.
So in this episode, we're going to go through the cybersecurity naughty list for 2017. And
no, it's not a complete naughty list, and it is a specific naughty list. It's what we picked, and I wanted to start with David, but I went ahead and just said, "Hello, kettle."
This is true.
And
glad you realize that.
Yeah, we're just going to leave that out of the mix, and we're going to go with just some highlights of things that I don't know. I thought it was important for 2017 to acknowledge that we were making a list and checking it twice. Gonna find out. There you go. So, and in no particular order, although the last one I did say the last one isn't in order, but that is what we have to discuss.
All right. So to top the list off, which there again, no particular order.
Yeah.
So what do you think? What do you think is going to be the number one thing, even though no particular order?
I know. You're in a
for
loop,
2017.
David.
I know, but it's Equifax. You know?
Yes. What a mess. I mean, we haven't talked about it a lot, but 145 million people in the data that you would, all of us would assume would be secure. And based on the information that's come out after this data breach, I can tell you for sure, it doesn't sound like they were secure. It wasn't, the tone at the top was not, let's secure this stuff. Not at all. Now, I can tell you that I've talked with other people that were in other financial institutions that were similar to this, in banking. And when this came out, let me tell you something. Everybody else did a deep dive into their security. At least I hope they did. The ones I've talked to, it was like, drop everything. You will be doing this for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a complete mess. Everything about it. It was, as far as I know, there is nothing they handled properly. I mean, did you?
No, it's one of those things where you had to watch the train wreck.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, they were basically, there's some areas where they kind of lied about things. Then you've got we're going to give you your free credit monitoring, but by the way, we'll end up charging you for it.
Yeah.
You're locked in and you can't sue us.
Right. That's crazy.
And, and ironically, the CSO and the CIO retire and the CEO retires, and I think it was the CIO and the CSO that happened to sell their stock and right before it dropped 35%. Yeah. And I love that the investigation said that at the time, the lawyers who had to approve the sale of the stock by the C-suite folks believed that the people who were selling the stock didn't actually know the data breach had been discovered. The CEO knew, but not the folks that were selling the stock.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore the attorney decided it was proper to let them sell it. So basically you're saying, we know everybody's about to get screwed, but hey, they're good guys. So let me make sure they make an extra $1 million or so. But basically it's completely irresponsible. Everything about it.
Mm.
And
Speaking of irresponsible, number 2 on the list, Uber.
Uber.
Yeah. Now this is going to cause things to ripple, because I'm already seeing people that are saying, if we're not, we need to have laws in place that if somebody doesn't report a breach within 30 days, then it's a legal issue. We're going to actually put people in jail for this.
Yeah, I think we're really going to see, again, you don't expect legislation anymore, because even if did try to go through it, end up being about, I don't know, whether or not you can have gray donkeys. And it never ends up being, what you really needed them to do. But come on, man, you hit it. You bribe somebody. And I first thought it was going to be TDO, but no, turns out it was some kid in Florida, 20-year-old kid in Florida got paid $100,000 just to keep their mouth shut. And,
wow.
But Uber is like, they just cannot manage to not screw it up this entire year. So they're on the naughty list for a long list of things. If you go back and look at all of the news about Uber, none of it was good.
No.
None of it.
Stealing stuff. And
yeah. It's just been one thing after another, which is unfortunate because their product is a good one. But they just can't. I mean, come on, man. And yeah. I know, I believe Ohio has started one that you can't sue the business for a cyber breach. And they've put that out in Ohio. It's like, well, so you have no recourse. They can gather everything about you, and then nothing matters. It's, our bad. Here's a letter. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. And Uber is going to drive that. Equifax is going to drive that.
No pun intended.
Yuck.
So that brings us to our favorite hacker, number 3, the Dark Overlord.
Still on the naughty list again this year. We didn't do the naughty list last year, but they were definitely on it, and to the point that they're terrifying school children.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, what you're doing is not right, but terrifying people that you're going to kill children is way, that you've crossed the line into diabolical, kind of stuff. But I don't know how much more anybody can say about their behavior that hasn't already been said, but they are definitely the top naughty hackers, even compared to some of the other folks.
Yep. So let's talk about a couple of things that made big news this year that I'm sure most people have already forgot about, which is the WannaCry and NotPetya attackers.
Yeah, you remember we were in the middle of teaching a ransomware class when the WannaCry thing started popping on everybody's mobile devices. So yeah, that one spread around the world in a matter of hours. It was ridiculous. And computers are now weaponized in a way that it's a financial weapon and a business weapon.
Yeah, and that's Mecklenburg County.
Yeah, I know, really? Yeah, go ahead and touch on that one there, David.
So, yeah, I don't, by the time this airs, I'm not sure what the outcome will be, but Mecklenburg County, which is, Charlotte, North Carolina, my stomping ground, had a ransomware incident. I won't say an attack necessarily, because it was just a matter of somebody clicking on something they shouldn't have. And it has encrypted lots of data on their servers. And, according to the quote in the news article, it says their firewalls were secure.
We don't think we did anything wrong. We keep our firewalls up to date. And, David sent me the article when it hit the news there, and that was the one thing I sent back to him. And just, WTF was all I could add. That I was just flabbergasted by it.
Yeah, and so obviously they didn't pay the ransom, so they're still down. They're doing everything, I guess, by pencil and paper. I don't know, but they're talking about weeks of time to recover. My question is, where's your backups? You should be able to recover from this thing. Which there's a lot that you can gather by what they're not saying. Probably more so by what they're not saying. But You can't, if you don't have a security awareness and training program along with, testing your users and all that kind of stuff. If you don't have that in 2017, 2018, why? What is the problem?
That's what we keep talking about. It's time to have a national culture of cybersecurity. And it's time to have businesses quit saying, I'm too small, or I don't have anything they want, or any of these other things. Get on board. Get on board. You need a formal cybersecurity program.
I mean, you've got to budget some money toward it. It's no longer optional. I mean, you pay for insurance. It's, cybersecurity training and all that stuff that you're doing to make sure your users are not clicking on the wrong thing. All that is still a form of insurance to make sure you're not, going to sink your business because somebody clicked on a link.
Well, it's like it's the similar concept to say, well, I can't afford that. Well, then might as well just not even put locks on the door.
Right.
Don't lock the door. Number one, your employees can get locked out. And number two.
Yeah, I know.
And number two is, you're taking that approach to cybersecurity and phishing and all those kind of things. You're taking that approach. That might be something that you can visualize because that's essentially what you're doing.
Yeah. I don't need life insurance. I've not been killed yet.
Yet. It's been close a couple of times.
I know.
Yeah. There's people that's wanted to do it.
I know. So that brings us to number 5, the shadow brokers and WikiLeaks.
Yeah, those are the CIA, NSA, OMG kind of stuff.
I know.
Those are the leaks coming from the spies, the tools the spies used to infiltrate networks and monitor activity released by the shadow brokers and the WikiLeaks folks that were then used in things like WannaCry and NotPetya and other hacks that were carried out. But, it's a tough one, you've got the NSA, you got the spies using known vulnerabilities. And then when that gets released, then they're like, oh, our bad. We knew they were there, but you don't even recognize that other people probably knew it too. So it's tough. It's a quandary between the what can you do and what can't you do. That's the right thing to do when you come to white hat versus black hat hackers, which is the good guys versus the bad guys. Mm-hmm. Spy versus spy.
I know. Exactly.
For those of you old enough to remember it. But it certainly has fueled a lot of the attacks that we've experienced, and I think we haven't even seen the worst of it, potentially.
Oh, yeah. I agree. So number 6, Deeproot Analytics exposed database of 198 million American voters.
Yeah, that's the company that had a database that's clearly a tish valuable. And they misconfigured an Amazon Web Services server and made it public and then put that database on there. And this goes to tech people who think, I don't have to worry about security because I'm smarter than everybody else. I know everything. David and I at least have the sense to know we don't know everything. I think that's the number one thing that I know is I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't assume much either. It's, I don't mind people going behind me and double checking. I mean, that's one reason why when I'm doing things with a client around compliance, I like hiring Cardin so that they're going back and doing a third-party assessment of what I'm doing. I mean, it just makes sense. Plug. Anyway.
That's a good one, David. Yeah.
All right, that brings us to number 7. Hackers make hundreds of emergency sirens blast at the same time in Dallas.
Okay, first of all,
that's funny.
The emergency sirens were hackable. So you've got you would think that you would want to secure this kind of stuff. This goes back to the valuable data. There's valuable assets that are not just data. It's things like these emergency sirens. And so the whole idea is we set that off, we create chaos, and in the meantime, we're doing this thing over here we didn't want you to notice. Mm-hmm. So it does matter. The tiny little things can be used against you in ways that you don't realize. You don't know what you don't know. But the fact that they took and were able to set off out of the blue just hundreds of sirens going off they were in a loop. And no one knew what was going on. And can you imagine being, no.
Everybody's got to be looking up in the sky going, what's going on?
Air raid. But yeah, it's something, number one, you're using a thing that we have out there to prepare the public for emergencies and protect us, and you're using it against us. So both parties that didn't worry about securing it and then those that hacked it, or, we're calling them naughty.
We'll call them naughty. All right, it brings us to number 8. 8,000 hackable bugs found in pacemakers. That's kind of scary.
I know. It's like, I don't even really have to go. That was just enough.
I know.
But it really goes towards all of these medical devices, which, I get it. In software developers and device developers, the same concept is we'll worry about security on the back end.
I can just see somebody with a laptop sitting in like an ER going, hey, watch that dude over there when I push this button.
I know. It's just wrong. I know that they talked about how the Secret Service worried about Cheney in office after it was, he had a pacemaker installed and everybody knew he had one. So, a lot of this, you might see it on TV where it is not necessarily realistic attacks. I'm talking to you, Scorpion, but it is a real thing that people have demonstrated. So it has to become a priority, and everybody points their fingers at, is the FDA responsible for this? Who's responsible for making sure these devices are secure? And, the FDA hasn't necessarily been known for cybersecurity skills up until now. So, but not worrying about it, all of the medical device people and IoT people, just IoT period, not worrying about security and how can I lock this down and how can I prevent these things, puts them on the naughty list.
Yeah. I mean, the whole IoT thing is crazy. Like, everything connects to the internet nowadays. I mean, they even had like a teddy bear or something that got hacked?
Yeah, toys are getting... And here we are heading right into the holiday season where everybody's going to be connecting their gadgets. And is anybody worried about security? Do you know how terrified I am because I put in a Ring doorbell?
Yeah.
I am... the convenience of it, and I need it and all that kind of stuff, but it's nutting me up.
So have you heard anything about the Amazon Echo thing being potentially hacked so people could hear you or listen to you?
I know people have tried to do that. I don't know that I've read a recent one about it happening.
Well, somebody sent me they didn't send me the article. They just said that they read that some group figured out how to do it, but I didn't research it.
Yeah, there's people who have figured out how to do things, but have they been successful in using it as a weapon or a tool? No, I don't know that, but it could be happening right now and we don't know about it.
Yeah. So that's like a couple of years ago or so, they had this thing where a lot of these cameras that people had, home video cameras, like baby monitors and stuff, they found out that tons of different ones of them were, not only were they easy to hack, not necessarily hack into, but you could get to them and see them. Not only did they say that, but there was a website you could go to that would just link you directly to it. And you could look at anybody's, cameras on their home or business or baby monitors or all kinds of stuff.
There you go. See, this is why it matters. So you're on the naughty list if you're not worrying about security first today.
Yes.
And you're selling it to people.
Security first. IT.
Yeah. Yeah. You haven't made your big announcement.
No, I have not yet.
Okay, then I should shut up. Okay.
In a future episode, I won't tell you which one. You have to listen to them all to figure it out.
All right, there you go.
So number 9, Yahoo. Woo.
Yahoo.
They revised its numbers to now 3 billion user accounts were hacked.
Yeah. That just keeps getting worse. And, you have to put them on the naughty list because, well, what else are you going to do? I mean, 3 billion users were hacked and they didn't even know it. So that I got nothing. They're on the naughty list.
Yeah. So I know.
3 billion.
Well, I don't know about you. I use a monitoring service that monitors my email address and social security number and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know what happened in the past couple of weeks, but I've got to follow up on like 12 different times my email address is showing up on some list.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, yes, we have all of that because we're paranoid. But yeah. There's stuff. And see, there's the scary part is a lot of these things, we know they hold on to this stuff for a year or more before they use them.
Mm-hmm.
And, whoever stole them in the first place uses them for whatever they want, and then they publish them and sell them to everybody else. And, they make big bucks on it. So they made whatever they wanted to make, then they sell it to other people, or they use it, pull out of it what they're looking for. And so these huge breaches that we've experienced, whether it be Yahoo or Anthem or any of the others, we haven't even scratched the surface of what they may do with that data because it hadn't even been the time clock still on.
Mm-hmm.
So good luck with that.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, people always go, well, I got credit monitoring, for a year. Well, no, first of all, it's a year. And second of all, it's only credit monitoring.
Yeah. I got like 4 credit monitoring things now. I just gave up and said, you know what? Used to, I'd say, look, I'm going to monitor it myself. And now there's just so many places you could get hit. I figure the more the merrier.
Yeah.
If one finds it, the other one might not. And so, I got all kinds of things. I keep, that's a good one. Let me buy that one. So,
yeah. Well, some of them you can get, included maybe like with your credit card or stuff like that. But the one I pay for, it's through Xander Insurance. I'll throw it out there, but it monitors everything: social security numbers, birth dates, email, phone numbers. I mean, anything that you could possibly have that's personal information, it monitors it. Really good. But be prepared to also have to follow up on a lot of alerts because that's what it's there for. Anyway, that brings us to number 10, one of your favorites. eClinical Works, $155 million settlement with the FTC and a minor $999 million civil lawsuit.
Yeah. That one, I'm like, well, what had happened was, so we covered the whistleblower part with the FTC settlement in depth, and we went through all of the details that were published in the court papers. And you can listen to that episode to hear just how naughty they were. And now, after that settlement and, people actually personally paying money to keep from going to jail, you also now have and there has to be either the computer wouldn't allow them to enter $1 billion. There's a limitation, a legal limitation. There's some limitation somewhere to get to $999 million. I don't know. And they're still one of the most popular EHRs out there, and users aren't leaving. So, well, let me rephrase that. They are leaving. They're not leaving. It's not something you can just make a decision and run, go do. You can't just change your EHR. It's, I'm going to get a new email account or a new email provider. You can't do it that way. So it does take a long period of time for those things to change. And, we aren't even seeing the tip of that iceberg yet of what impact that's going to have on the EHR and those kind of things. So it will be interesting to see.
Absolutely. Which brings us to number 11.
Mm-hmm.
So Denton Health Group, a member of the Health Texas Provider Network, lost an unencrypted hard drive with backup files loaded with patient data. Get this, from 2009 until 2016.
Okay. So we didn't actually do this one in an episode. It went back to March. Come on. It was stored in a locked closet before they think it was stolen in December 2016. They didn't discover it until January 2017, and they made the announcement in March after they figured out what had happened. But my big question is, why would you have something, if it moves, encrypt it, period. If it moves, encrypt it. If you can pick it up and carry it out like doo-doo-doo, if you can put it in a backpack, encrypt it, period. No ifs, ands, or buts anymore. This is ridiculous that much data was unencrypted. I mean, that has to be on the naughty list. If you're out there running around with data that can move and you are not sure that it is fully encrypted, you need to go lock yourself in a room until you can fix that. Because even a locked closet that's not being monitored didn't help. So there you go. It's too easy for it to happen. Now, granted, if you got a big server, those aren't as easy to get out. And then I'll take your argument on what kind of encryption and your decisions and your plans and all that. But a backup drive? Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Just a
or
backup
the thumb drive you're backing up to. And
yeah.
I take my thumb drive home every night. Oh. Yeah, that's a...
7 years. 7 years of EHR data. 7 years. I don't even know how many patients it was. It's just crazy. So all I can say is that somebody somewhere, I don't know. I got nothing. You need to put that in a vault if you're not going to.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
So that brings us to the last one, number 12. I like how you throw everybody in here.
Yeah.
So anyone still using password or something else on the list that we discussed last week as their password, for anything?
You're on the naughty list.
You're on the naughty list. Oh, yeah. I mean, if your password is password or 1234 or admin or any of these things like that, shame, shame, shame.
Yeah. I mean, it's just that list that we covered last week, I'm still flabbergasted by it. That we're still talking about that list being the most popular password.
Yeah, it's like it never changes. No matter how bad things are and how much security awareness you put out there for people, they still will do that.
So you get on the naughty list and you will stay on the naughty list until you take action to clean up all of them. Because if you have one, somehow that will be used against you. Now, back in the day, and, we've been building accounts for longer than most people as nerds. And I'm sure there's somewhere that I use some stupid password. Now, I've never used password or password 123 or anything, but there's passwords that I don't now consider secure just because, to me, they're not secure. They never would be on one of those lists, and I'm paranoid about them. Somewhere they're going to come back and bite me.
Yeah, well, back in the day that, you couldn't even do some of the stuff. Like you couldn't put a special character in. It wouldn't take it. Or it wouldn't go, more than 8 characters.
Yeah. It could, there were great deal limitations, and everything was uppercase or everything was lowercase. It didn't recognize the difference. So, yeah.
And don't use like your address, your phone number, your zip code, your dog, your kids. I mean, all that stuff is so easy to guess. Yeah.
Anything that you can find out on social media, again, we loop back around to where we started. We don't like social media.
I know.
We do to some extent. We don't like the rabbit holes it creates and the security holes it creates when you're not worried about it all the time.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, there you go. So that is the naughty list that we have without either one of us being on it. And our spouses were not allowed to add to it. So that is at least for now. But, the clocks, we still got time going in this year. We may have to add somebody. Who knows?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And certainly not a complete list in any way, shape, or form. But it hits on a lot of different things of reasons that we need to be paying attention. We can't not pay attention anymore.
So
Can't not. Wow. That's
So
some triple
that means we can.
negatives.
I need a flow chart.
I know, really?
So maybe next week we can do our predictions for 2018 because we're getting close to that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we get predictions. I don't like making predictions, David.
I know, but you know what? I was right last year. I said ransomware is going to be a mess in 17, and it was.
Well, I don't think you were alone in that prediction. You didn't
Look
go
at
out
him.
on a limb.
I started the whole thing.
You didn't go out on a limb there, buddy.
Nobody mentioned it until I started talking about it.
All right. Well, that's enough for today for me.
Just say I'm right. So.
No.
All right. That's our show for today, folks. Thank you for listening. Remember, give us a review. Tell us how much you love us. Well, at least me. I don't really care what you think about Donna. Share us out on social media. Visit us on the web at helpmewithhipaa.com. And remember, the HIPAA is not about compliance. It's about patient care.
You've been listening to the Help Me with HIPAA podcast, hosted by Donna Grindle and David Sims. The show created to help you with HIPAA. For more information or to ask us a question, visit our website at helpmewithhipaa.com. Neither Donna Grindle or David Sims are attorneys, and they do not offer binding legal advice concerning regulatory compliance. The information in this podcast should not be relied upon or construed as legal advice in any way. Consult your attorney for legal advice concerning compliance with HIPAA regulations.